Okay, I think Pooja, we can begin. Yeah, take it ahead.
Yes. Hello. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. Guys, if I can see your faces, it would be really great. सिर्फ फोटोज या नेम या LGS ऐसे को बात करना बहुत बोरिंग हो जाता है. Hi, good evening, Pratibha. Can we have your cameras on?
मी बाहेर आहे मॅम, त्यामुळे ऑफ ठेवलाय.
Okay. Others, there are 25 people today. And I'm expecting only me and Aishwarya talking.
I can also talk, but I have promised that I wouldn't.
Let me take the stage today.
Okay,
Okay.
camera on.
Everyone, please start your cameras. It would be really fun to have cameras on. Messy hair, don't care. Even if you're attending from your bed, it's fine with me. As long as you're attending and paying attention. Okay, so today we are talking about industrial psychology, the know-abouts and the hows of the industrial psychology. Okay, so जिसका कैमरा ऑन हो सकता है वो ऑन कर दीजिए, no issues at all. Okay, so yeah, continuing ahead. Today we are talking about industrial psychology and HR, that is human resources. So is industrial psychology a disguise for HR? That is the question of today, and I hope by the end of this webinar we get to really understand, is it really this case or it's not, or are these two fields completely different, like the two extremes, या कुछ overlap होता है. Okay, so we are going to get to understand all the ABCs of industrial psychology as well today. Okay, so we'll go ahead now. Before I go ahead, can all of you, cameras तो on हो नहीं रहे किसी के, फिर भी can those who are new to industrial psychology or have very little or fair idea about industrial psychology, raise your hands. Okay, so I see a lot of hands raised, so that's great. Now you guys must have noticed that जब भी हम किसी चीज के बारे में हमको ज्यादा पता नहीं होता है ना, what we do is exactly we try to believe in the myths, the facts. We can't distinguish between them. So can we actually distinguish between what are the myths of industrial psychology and what are the facts about industrial psychology? Before we go ahead and dissect the industrial psychology as a subject, can you guys tell me certain myths or facts that you have heard about industrial psychology or the field that you that is related to it?
I've heard that industrial psychology is only for blue collar workers.
Okay, industrial psychology is only for blue collar workers, and what do you think, is it true?
I don't think it's true.
Okay, great to know. We are going to see the myths and facts as we go ahead. Okay, anything about HR anyone has heard?
MBA is better option, इंडस्ट्रियल का इंडिया में स्कोप नहीं है.
MBA is a better option, industrial के लिए scope नहीं है. Okay, all right, anything else?
Another thing, this is not exactly it's not exactly a myth, but I was interning somewhere and I was sitting with 2 to 3 interns together. Those were from marketing and I was doing HR internship. And I remember one of the girls said HR to sirf rangoli banate hai, which
Yeah.
is like so disrespectful, but like people assume.
Yes, it is extremely disrespectful, and also like I have seen a lot of times there are so many reels कि HR का सिर्फ fun Friday का काम होता है. So yes, definitely one of the greatest myth I believe, and yes, it is a myth because HR and industrial psychologists both do different and a lot of things that can or may not overlap with each other. Okay, Now, as we go ahead, we are going to see different myths that are going to get busted today. That companies prefer MBAs for HR positions than industrial psychologist. क्यों ना हो, जब सब जगह पे MBA होता है, तो of course it's going to be MBA than industrial psychologist. We as psychologists have to go ahead in the organizations, do the groundwork of, it's like pitching. अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में नया आता है तो उसके लिए सेल्स लोग हमको कितना कॉल करते हैं, they really call us, they email us. It's about pitching the course, that pitching the degree, the pitching the position that we have, so that it is going to get well known to it. I understand that industrial psychology is quite new in India comparatively as compared to abroad, so there are going to be a lot of misconceptions, lot of things about industrial psychology that are going to get taught, and that's our job to even clear that out. Okay, industrial psychology सिर्फ ये नहीं होता है कि you go in an organization and work. Industrial psychology also means laying the groundwork today, so that our next generation, जो भी हमारे बाद students आते हैं, वो students के लिए उतना groundwork नहीं करना पड़ता है. इमेजिन क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट, काउंसलिंग साइकोलॉजिस्ट, उन्होंने बहुत सारा ग्राउंड वर्क किया है, तब जाके आज थेरेपी बहुत एक्सेसिबल हुई है. So in the same way, industrial psychology has to go in that direction itself. Okay. One more thing I have heard a lot is that IO psychologist या industrial psychologist का ये काम होता है कि they make the workplace conflict free. So is it really true that do we need conflict free workplaces?
We need healthy conflict, I think.
Sorry?
We need healthy conflict.
Exactly. We need healthy conflicts. We need conflicts that will boost competition. We need conflict that will boost creation, innovation. That is very much necessary. Otherwise, conformity से तो कोई workplace आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी. Yes. Curative Sai, you have some query or question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Siddhartha ma'am?
No, I was just adding in that we do want conflict, but we want better conflict resolution, and we want conflict which is healthy for the growth of the company.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Conflict which will pave the way for different things to come ahead is the kind of the conflict we need. Okay. Now, as we are talking about industrial psychology, we need to understand why there is a need of psychology at workplace, and how do we add that psychology component in our corporates, in our organizations. So the first thing we are going to see is, what is the goal of psychology at workplace? Exactly, hota kyun hai psychology workplace mein, and is it necessary at workplace? So the first goal of psychology at workplace is to assess the workplace. Now, as you know, there is a difference between psychology and MBA and HR. That difference is psychology is backed by science. And जहाँ पे science होता है, वहाँ पे data होता है. So assessing the workplace means gathering the data. Now gathering the data कैसे होता है? थोड़ा सा RM का यहाँ पे use करेंगे. We use assessments, we use lot of tools to collect our data, but along with it, we also use naturalistic observations, analyzing our environment, so that we get the data that we want. अब ये कैसे होता है? Exactly, I'll give you an example so that you guys can understand it much better. Okay, so there is this big IT firm in Pune, and this IT firm, I'll just explain you the structure of this IT firm. This IT firm is completely built of glass. Okay, वो black filming वाले glass होते हैं ना, वैसी वो firm है. And on each floor there are around 350 to 500 employees, and these employees are divided into two sections of the same floor. और उनके सामने छोटे छोटे क्यूबिकल्स होते हैं जहाँ पे वो काम करते हैं, एंड what they face is a wall, and that wall is very dry and बहुत neutral color की wall होती है वो. Okay, so a people lead and culture expert at this firm observed that these IT employees are working literally 14 hours a day, and all they are seeing is their screen, or that wall. So what can we do? It's such a boring thing to even if you're working on the screen and you just move away from your screen for a while, you're just seeing a wall. It's actually not that enticing also. So what this people manager did is that she actually created an event where she asked the employees that जब भी weekend आता है तब हम sky की photo लेते हैं या कहीं trip पे जाते हैं तो किसी और beach की photo लेते हैं. So any photographs you take, you submit it to the team that is working on it, and once you submit, the best photographs will get featured on that wall. Now इससे हुआ क्या, that once that photographs were featured on the wall, the employees जिनके photographs feature हुए थे उनको बहुत अच्छा लगा that what, my photo is featured on this wall and everybody gets to see my skill that is other than the IT part. So what this did is that just in minuscule price, not even investing a lot of resources in it, employee productivity was increased. इसको हम ergonomics बोलते हैं in psychology, where you are actually bettering the environment around you so that it leads to employees' well-being in the organizations. Imagine करो अभी ये मेरा ये example ले लो. If you can see back behind me, there are a lot of paintings that I have done. Now these are my paintings, but whenever I see it in the screen, I feel really good about it and it makes me do my work more better. So in that way, when we assess the workplace, not just by data collection or interviews, we also can assess the place by naturally observing it. And in बहुत कम पैसे खर्च हुए उनके, but the result was so good that the employees, every month the photographs used to change and employees used to feel very proud कि we have something other than our work and that is getting featured at our workplace. So that is what psychology does at workplace. Psychology, the actual meaning of psychology is what? Understanding the human behavior. And understanding that human behavior, how it works, and how we can, motivate the employees for their well-being is something that industrial psychologists try to do. Now, once we have understood the goal of the psychology, देखो, बहुत simple है, that employees are also human beings. Employees are also human beings. They are just working in an organization. So as an industrial psychologist, you have to look through them as not only employees, but also as human beings. Which brings to the next point, the psychological safety at workplace. Now, before we go here and understand what is exactly psychological safety at workplace, how many of you are aware of this recent, very, very recent incident that took place in HDFC Bank, Kolkata branch? Okay, I feel just like Siddhita ma'am and Curative Sai is only attending my webinar. What about others? Yes. So you saw in that video that the manager was literally yelling at the employees. Whatever may be the reason, we'll not go and delve into the reason of it. But that was something that opened up a lot of conversation and led to talk about psychological safety at workplace. So what exactly is psychological safety at workplace? It is that belief in the minds of each and every employee that, what, I won't be punished, I won't be humiliated, I won't be embarrassed by my colleagues, by my other people who are in the office just for speaking up. This is basic. In simpler terms, psychological safety means not being humiliated, not being punished for speaking up in the work setup. For not showing up, for showing up late, okay, you're shown up late, it's okay. We will consider it once, we'll consider it twice, we'll ask you why you have been late, we'll take your feedback and we'll make the changes accordingly. That is what psychological safety is. And the thing about psychological safety is nobody knows it in the first go that ki aise hoga. This is how you implement the safety in the organization. It is about promoting the safety understanding whether it is failing or whether it is going ahead and it is successful, and if it's failing, how can we learn from our mistakes. It is promoting the culture of mistakes, it's promoting the culture of learning from mistakes and collaborative leadership. Collaborative leadership matlab kya hota hai, that you take responsibility for the work that is delegated to you. You take responsibility for the work that has been delegated to you, and you are accountable for that. But at the same time, we will not embarrass or humiliate you just because you have not done the work. We'll understand the whys behind it, and then we'll go ahead with it. That idea, how much safe one can feel at workplace if they know that the work they are doing is actually getting A, recognized, and B, even if they are not doing the work up to the mark, they have a scope of improving. That scope of improving in itself can be such a growth for an employee. And this is what the psychologists at workplace try to attempt. They try to bridge that gap between the people who don't understand what it is to give that space for an employee to grow. And that's why psychologists attempt to bring in that safety in the workplace. And a third component is wellness. अभी ये जो सेफ्टी की बात हमने की, this is something that occurs when something has happened, like something bad has happened, and after that the safety measures are taken. For example, in the HDFC incident, the employee was I think he was terminated, and the measures were taken, the right actions were taken. But this is something that has happened after the incident occurred. So it is a learning moment, of course, but at the same time, it is also, we need to focus on the wellness component of it. The wellness component of it is, why did it occur in the first place? Could we have prevented it from occurring? And if there is a reason that from the organization side, there was something that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed about, did we do that? And that is the wellness, where we evaluate ki potentially kya hone wala hai. Are we able to handle these kinds of incidents? What kind of measures we have to protect our employees? So all these things are considered at psychology by industrial psychologists. Anyone has anything to add? Any questions till here?
Madam,
Yes.
I have one question. So
Yes,
the, yeah, so the HDFC incident, just as an example, if we talk about it, it is not that person's problem. It is an organizational wide problem, at least in banks like HDFC, Kotak, ICICI, where it's completely sales driven environment. And there is a lot of pressure from the business to bring in numbers. And when people are not able to meet those numbers, that's how the managers actually shout and react and create difficult uh, times for the employees. So really, like I don't like how does industrial HR say talk about business in the sense that when the business is bringing business is the focus, what does industrial HR says to sanitize or to sensitize the business people about, no, that is not your only aim. Your aim is to promote safety of the people also. But I don't think anyone is even aware of that fact, at least in sales driven organization.
Yes. Okay. So to answer your question, how does an industrial psychologist come in picture, or how do they deal with this kind of situation or environment where there is, where numbers matter? Simply put, where numbers
Correct.
matter.
Correct.
So the thing is, whenever we are talking about businesses which are very competitive, there is also very much healthy competition and unhealthy competition that is there. If there are sales numbers that we are talking about, do we have the margin, do we have the boundaries where this kind of competition is healthy, these kind of numbers is achievable? So if banks, if these kind of businesses who are working on sales are able to put in actual numbers, are able to put in actual, boundaries where this is okay, this is not appreciated, where there are parameters given of what is okay and what is not okay, don't you think the pressure of the employees also gets a little bit reduced? And of course these parameters, I think, can be in compliance with the employees also. Now again, here the industrial psychologist will come in picture in one way, is that if I am someone who is an introvert and I am put in a sales department, do you think I'll be able to manage or make pitch as much as an extrovert can be able to do it? If I am someone who is a go-getter, I know how to get that pitch in, I know how to get that business in. And that's again where the industrial psychologist can come in picture when hiring. So whenever we are hiring for, let's say, for sales department, for businesses where there is a lot of clientele based business hota hai, वहाँ पे if I am hiring people who are high on dominance, who are high on influence, then I can actually make that target achievable. So that's how industrial psychologists come in picture.
Sales, the personality type of salesman, whether it's extrovert or introvert, that is a matter of debate. Whether we can, whether extroverts are the ones who can do most of the sales, that's a different topic. But yes, I understand that the industrial psychologist or the HR can find the right personality type for the organization. That I understand, but there's no statistically proven study that says that the extroverts are better salesperson than the introverts.
Absolutely.
It's a myth. It's a myth.
Absolutely, you're right that there is no statistical study that says that extroverts are better salesperson than introverts, but definitely these people have potential. Yes,
That's
Siddharam, you
that's
have
a different topic. That's a different topic. I'll
yeah,
say.
Pooja, can I add in? Just
yeah,
for
sure.
a, yeah. Actually, being a banker, I know what Murugan is saying makes a lot of sense because I have seen that live. I have taken that. Fortunately, I have not done that to anybody, but I have taken that. So I understand it is, organizational changes that a person needs. But actually, not every person handles the situation in same way. And there, you know, our industrial HR or a psychologist can come into the picture, I feel. So he can, help, he or she can help all the employees to have that balance, that, and even this is not working. Shouting karne se koi, we are not achieving targets at all, in fact. So that is taking us back. So till we realize that things are out of hand. So industrial psychologists can work beautifully in this scenario.
Yes, Siddharth ma'am, you have something to say?
So I think I really liked what you said in the beginning while answering Rugang, that industrial psychologists are going to help in setting parameters of what can be defined as key target achieve करने के लिए, what is doable, what is okay and what is not okay, so that even employees are very clear about कि कहाँ पर priority target को मिलेगी और कहाँ पर priority वो employee को मिलेगी, right? I think that balance that an industrial psychologist can bring in, I think maybe that is the answer.
Absolutely. And it has to be in compliance with the employee. जिसका जितना potential है उसके targets उतने decide हो सकते हैं. I think someone has written something in the chat. Okay. Yes, Aishwarya, you have something to add?
Yeah, so I don't know much about industrial psychology, of course, but after hearing all the discussion, I definitely feel that even if the environment is unhealthy, it's not going to actually work, because if you're telling a student, let's say, कि नहीं तुझे इतना score करना ही है, we have never seen anyone acing because they had the pressure of scoring into it, but we have seen them enjoying it and actually scoring well when they had no negative, influence कि नहीं ये करना ही है, this is on your survival. So I think eventually it's also about that कि पहले environment कैसा है उससे वो that's the difference, and that is what I think industrial psychologists create. But I think you know more about that, so yeah.
So we actually are we are actually the nurturers. I feel that we create that environment where everyone can thrive rather than just putting the pressure, because again it is proven that pressure या इससे कोई पास नहीं होता है, कोई आगे नहीं बढ़ता है. It is the willingness of the person to do it. Yes, Arushi, you have something to say?
I think it is in sync with what is already mentioned. It's the concept of eustress and de-stress which comes into picture. Like eustress is beneficial for you because if I am not like if I've not been given goals or targets, then I won't work. But if I'm constantly distressed, then it will lead to burnout. So I think this is where the concept of managing stress management becomes important for everybody, and IO psychologist comes into picture.
There is also another myth over there that, sorry, Arushi, you're saying something?
No, that's it. No, that's it.
So there is another myth that, all work stress is bad. And as an IO psychologist, I always believe that it's actually not true. In fact, the as you said, the eustress and the de-stress and the thin line between that is what matters. Actually, some kind of work stress can actually push you to do much better than what you have been doing. If tomorrow I have a manager who tells me, you know what, you've been doing such nice, so I want to give you a little bit more responsibility that will help you in your career growth as well. And that responsibility is going to, of course, come with additional work that I have actually been doing with the current work that I have. And actually, it might not be bad for me because I know इसमें मेरी growth है, इससे मैं आगे बढ़ने वाली हूँ. So that kind of stress is actually not bad for me. So here's one more busting the myth that all work stress is not at all bad. Sometimes it's actually good also. Yes, now coming to the, I was just going through the form that you guys have filled, and there were so many queries about how one can be an industrial psychologist and how one can practice industrial psychology in the field. So I just want to clarify that quickly. So to be an industrial psychologist, you can have, you graduate from psychology as your major subject. You can also be a commerce BCom करके भी industrial psychologist कर सकते हो. Then for your masters, you have to take admission for either MA or MS in applied or industrial psychology. Now, as we go ahead, there are two different sections for masters. You can do your masters in India also and in abroad also. In abroad, when you do your masters in industrial psychology, there is also an option of HRDM, that is Human Resource Development Management. You can do the masters in combination with this both. So you get to learn HR things also and industrial psychology also. So I think, if I'm not wrong, there's one course in India, only one course in India, that offers MS in business psychology and industrial psychology, and that's provided by Christ University. And this course is actually where you get to study 2 to 3 months abroad as well. So this is a very interesting course by Christ University. Do check it out if you're interested. And there are different business psychology, consumer psychology courses that abroad universities offer. You can check it out to understand which. Usually in Europe, Germany and Netherlands has really good courses in industrial psychology. But as we know that सिर्फ मास्टर्स से ना काम नहीं चलता है, उसके साथ साथ स्किल सेट्स होने बहुत जरूरी है. लाइक मुझे पता है कि इंडस्ट्रियल साइकोलॉजी में क्या क्या होता है, पर मुझे ये नहीं पता है कि हाउ शैल आई अप्लाई दैट नॉलेज. That is so much important, and that lacks so much in every course that we try to do in especially in India. So that's why as I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but we have also designed this course understanding this gap of industrial psychology. पढ़ने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but apply कैसे करेंगे. तो उसके लिए we have designed this course. And basically what skill sets I'm trying to tell you guys is that you need to know how corporates function. You need to understand कि corporates में training and development क्या होता है, appraisal क्या होता है, these small terms, appraisals, retention of employees, how do you retain employees, these basic terms of corporate functioning, this basic knowledge of human resources absolutely necessary. Along with it, we as see, one thing is industrial psychologists be psychologists hote hain. So you can never take active listening and empathy out of a psychologist. It is so imperative that you deliver that empathy. Like someone who is empathetic, someone who is actively listening can understand something that the people with MBHR cannot. That is because we can actually listen, we can actually be in their place and still be able to give them that suggestions, give them that recommendations, what exactly is needed in that particular situation. And that can only come once we have that empathy. If we have empathy, we can understand that that employee is under pressure from the organization, and that pressure is evident, and also necessary, because organizations also have targets to achieve. See, all the organizations functions on the employees working. इतना सही है कि एम्प्लॉयज को जितनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की जरूरत होती है उतनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को एम्प्लॉयज की भी जरूरत होती है. सो जितना ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एम्प्लॉय के लिए करता है तो एम्प्लॉय को भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए भी करना पड़ता है. सो वो डेडलाइंस हो, प्रेशर हो, वो हम निकाल नहीं सकते. But how can we make it much better and tolerable for the employee so that they can go ahead with that pressure, they can survive and thrive with that pressure? That is something that an industrial psychologist can work with and can achieve only with empathy. I see a lot of chats going on. Let me just see what it is. Okay, yes. So, as we are talking about empathy, in this course, we are also planning to bring out different programs that we are going to create for the organizations. And these programs कैसे होता है कि मुझे पता है कि organization में leadership training की जरूरत है, पर वो training मैं कैसे दूं, उसका वेबिनार मैं कैसे क्रिएट करूं, उसका वर्कशॉप मैं कैसे क्रिएट करूं. All these skills will be taught to you in this course. All these skills are necessary, and these skills unfortunately are not taught in our masters. Believe me, I have done my master's in industrial psychology. Along with it, I have also done certification, but this is something that I have not been taught. This is something that I've learned through my experience, and that's why it is very important. And I feel it's my duty that I share it with you guys, how you can create these workshops, how you can bring empathy in your workshops, how you can do employee counseling. As an industrial psychologist, if you are an in-house consultant, you are expected to do in employees counseling as well. So how you can provide that counseling, what are the no's and how's of the counseling. Just एक बात बताना चाहती हूँ कि employee counseling and other counseling is quite bit different, because certain things, as we say, are not to be kept confidential in the organization. जैसे यहाँ पे in our ordinary settings we have to keep everything confidential. So I'll answer that question in a while, okay? But in employees counseling, certain things need to be known to the organization. And it's a quite beautiful balance that you have to maintain, where you are there for the organization as well and as well for the employees also. तो वो स्किल कैसे सीखते, वो बैलेंस कैसे आता है कि मैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए भी काम कर रहा हूँ और मैं एम्प्लॉयज के लिए भी काम कर रहा हूँ. That is something that industrial psychology and this course will teach you. So do think about it. I think Aishwarya has shared the details of this course. I have done my master's from Pune University, SPPU. And there are different recommendations. I will give you the recommendations, Lavi, at the end, or you can email me and I'll mail you the recommendations as well. Okay. What are the common challenges of industrial psychologists? At the beginning of the webinar, I just said that, I think Anshul, if I'm not wrong, said that MBA HR is more popular or more well known than the industrial psychology. So the first challenge that I have found during my career is making people aware about industrial psychology and getting a job in industrial psychology. Now, this is something that it was 5 years back, but today in India, there is so much scope for industrial psychologists and industrial psychologists as well. Yes, someone just said that, what is the scope for IO psychologists in workforce? देखो, मैं ना बहुत एक्सपीरियंस के साथ ये बोल रही हूँ दैट स्कोप किसी भी फील्ड में ना बनाना पड़ता है. इट डज नॉट कम लाइक इट्स नॉट पुट फॉर अस इन द प्लेट. व्हेन द मोमेंट you decide to choose psychology, scope is something you don't is not served to you in the plate. You have to fill your plate with nice pakwan, and तभी जाके scope बनता है. उसके अलावा scope बनता नहीं. But having said that, there has been a lot of awareness about it. You need to know where you have to apply. So there are different organizations, even in Pune and also in India, there are different organizations. As I said in the beginning, I gave you an example of an organization. I'll just give you how that scope was created so you'll understand. This particular industrial psychologist, she was my senior and she applied to that company as an HR. But she was applied and she was working in that company as an HR for almost 1.5 years. But then she realized that this is not the work that I have to do. The HR work is not something that I want to do. I want to still go into industrial psychology. I want to work for employee well-being. I don't want to just put out the salary slips. So then what she did was she emailed for literally 2 to 3 months to different HR heads of her organization. Two HR heads were sitting in US and one in Bangalore. So she mailed them for 2.5 months continuously. With her efforts and with her plans for the employees, they actually created a position for her called as people lead, and they actually created that position for her in that organization. So when I say that HR के लिए scope बनाना पड़ता है, this is how you make the scope for HR, so industrial psychologists. So and even today there are a lot of banks. If you know Deutsche Bank, if you know Barclays, these companies are hiring industrial psychologists. They are hiring learning and development people at their companies. So ऐसा नहीं है कि scope ही नहीं है और सिर्फ HR के काम करने पड़ते. In the beginning, yes, you have to toil a bit so that you can get that sweetened success. That is true for any field you go. Any field you go. So scope is something that you create, and that scope is created if you have that skill sets to deliver the knowledge that you have learned. So learn from the right skill sets, apply the right skill sets, and believe me, there is so much path for this field ahead in the organizations. Okay, now coming to the question of the hour, that is there any difference between HR and IO psychology? ना अभी मैं आपको बताऊंगी कि मैं बहुत बड़बड़ कर रही हूँ और आप लोग सिर्फ सुन रहे हो, और मैं बताऊंगी कि HR में ये होता है, IO में ये होता है, तो बहुत बोरिंग हो जाएगा. तो ना थोड़ा सा रोल प्ले करते हैं, थोड़ा सा हमारे एक्टिंग स्किल्स देखने को मिलेंगे आपको, and you'll understand the difference. Just observe it, and now then after observing it, I want you guys to tell me the difference, okay, rather than me telling the difference. उसमें कोई मजा नहीं आता है. Okay, so I have my sweet volunteer here today for the, yes, Aishwarya, hi.
Hi.
So you guys can, pin me and Aishwarya so that you guys can see us. So basically this is going to be an interview, okay, for the position of manager. Now there are going to be 2 interviews. You have to understand and observe and analyze the difference between these 2 interviews. Okay.
Okay, I just want to say, please don't judge the employee. The employee is also trying to learn only, so focus on her only.
Okay, so this is the first part of it. All right. Yes. Hello, Aishwarya.
Hello, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
So I was just going through your resume and I see you have done your MBA.
Yeah.
And you have had 4 years of experience?
Yes, I did.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am Aishwarya. I have done my MBA from Pune University, and I have been working for 4 years in the last company. But I was not feeling some kind of growth there, and I just wanted some kind of new opportunities in my life, and that is why I came here.
Mhm. So you have applied in our company for manager position, right?
Yes.
Do you know what a company does?
Yeah, I do know that your company is working in manufacturing products.
And do you think, as a company who is in manufacturing setup, would you be able to handle the managerial position duties?
Yeah, definitely, I would be.
Okay. All right. So this is the part one of the interview. Okay. Make your notes if you want to. Now this comes the second part of it. All right. I'm just going to start again. Okay. Hi. Hello, Aishwarya.
Hello, ma'am.
This is such a nice thing that I just went through your resume and I saw that one of my colleague is in the same college as you were.
Oh,
And we
okay.
were just discussing how good the faculty over there is.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Yeah. So just tell, I was just reading, and you have this 4 years of experience in your previous company, right?
Yes.
So you were there as a team leader, if I'm
Yes.
not wrong. So as a team leader, if I have to ask you, would you like to describe something that, made your team members that you did that your team members had to follow in such a way that the deadlines were followed, the pressure was not felt that much? As a team
Mhm.
leader, what all you did?
Yeah, so I realized as a team leader when I started, most of my coworkers were not feeling that space of being able to communicate. मतलब काम ना होना अलग बात है, but अगर काम नहीं हो रहा है तो बताना कि why it's not happening, what could be done about it. Okay, you know what, I'm feeling this problem here. Can we communicate about it? I think वो पहले नहीं था. Then when I was in that position, I realized कि okay, even if the work is getting done or no, there has to be a communication so that we can together work on it. So I think that is one thing I realized if you have that kind of support and environment, all the employees are also happy, co-workers are also happy. And yeah, that is one of the things that I have learned.
So I see a lot of consultative leadership in you, qualities in you.
Yeah. I think I like that, where we can talk openly with each other, with, everyone, even me, for me to talk to my boss openly and for my subordinates to talk to me. I think that enhances the productivity altogether for everyone.
So, Aishwarya, in your 4 years of experience, you must have, faced a failure as a team leader. Would you like to describe one of the failure as a manager or a team leader that you faced?
Yeah, so it was one time that there was no matching up between what I wanted the work to be versus what my subordinate was giving me. So there was a lack of understanding or the perception we can say कि मुझे जो चाहिए था वो नहीं हो रहा था, and from their perspective it was like okay, I'm giving everything, now what more do you need from me? So I felt like वो बीच का जो bridge होता है वो नहीं था. I was seeing it from my perspective, my subordinate was seeing it from their perspective. तो वो थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो गया. Then it became on a personal level as well, because I was not considering it good work and the other person was feeling like okay, I'm judging too much. So it became thoda ugly for no reason actually. It's just about work. It shouldn't get so personal, but it got personal after some point of time because there was no bridge in between. So that is one thing I observed, and I don't know actually, I have not learned yet how to build that bridge. But yeah, that was one thing I would consider that as something that I should have worked on, but nahi.
It can be quite challenging when there is a lot of gap between what we are expecting and what our employees are doing, and
Yeah.
that gap can come in different ways, and different communication channels can open up to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I mean, at one point of time, I was feeling like, am I in the wrong position? Is this person in the wrong position? Is the hiring wrong? Is what is exactly wrong? So it also made a lot of created a lot of self doubt for all of us, and yeah, that is one experience.
It's quite a learning moment, I feel, for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it was, yeah.
So, as we are hiring for a manager, there is going to be a lot of work that needs to be delegated, right? Because there is a lot of pressure on you as a manager. And I'm being open and frank about it because we are a company that, as much as we believe in our employees, we also believe that the work needs to get done.
Yeah.
So, that is something that we don't compromise on. And so if there comes a chance where you have to delegate the work, how do you manage that?
Yeah. So one thing that I've learned from my previous experiences ki I can expect something from someone who already is either good at it, wants to do it, or can contribute to it. I don't want the delegation to be in a certain way jahan pe the person is not at all into it and still I'm expecting 100%. Then it would be unfair on their part and my part as well. So I think my delegation would be more on, even if there's one task, how do I delegate it in certain way that everyone gets something that they're able to do or feeling good about. So at the end of the day, product bhi ho jata hai taiyar and everyone gets to contribute. So it's like a team effort. Everyone is winning at the end of the day and they're also getting to do, because every task is going to have certain things that people are good at or anyone loves that. For example, product बनने से उसके sales तक there are different people involved. तो वैसे ही हर एक काम होने में it could be that delegation as well. So it will be very minute delegation which increases my work. बट आई थिंक आगे जाके फिर वो काम ना होना, फिर चिल्लाना, फिर वो सब के अलावा इफ आई कैन जस्ट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द माइन्यूट थिंग्स, आई थिंक इट मेक्स सेंस एंड इट हेल्प्स एवरीवन.
Yeah, so I can see being structured and organizing from the beginning, so to prevent the chaos is something that you plan to do.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
That's a very wonderful thing. Thank you so much. We'll contact you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. So, guys, what do you think?
Babe, this was so random, by the way. I mean,
Yeah, it was very
it was not scripted.
Shreya can be a great manager.
She is a great manager. And you too.
Okay, yes, thank you for that. Yes, guys, now tell me, what is the difference between that first interview and the second one that we saw? Yes, Meera.
As far as I noticed, like the first one was like too much of questioning from the interviewer, and the viewee was just giving answers to it, and that gave me a like it was more like a HR. But the second one was like the interviewer. It was not like an interview, but more like a discussion about the experiences and what opinions and plans they will have as suppose a manager. Second
Absolutely.
one was more open. First one was kind of थोड़ा strict लग रहा था.
So this is the difference between the HR and the IO psychologist. IO psychologist understands the human behind the job and questions that. They are not there to fill the position. They are there so that they can fit the role and the person to exactly. It's like a puzzle. Jigsaw का जो puzzle होता है ना, वो exact fit कैसे करते हैं वो IO psychologist करता है. Now, it might be possible that IO psychologists won't be there for every interview, but they create an SOPs, that is the statement of procedures for each hiring process, so that these procedures can be followed by HR. See, one thing I want you guys to understand is we are not in any way degrading anyone's professions. HR are as important to the organizations as IO psychologists are. But just that, in simple terms, if I have to tell you about what HR and IO psychologist में difference है ना, तो HR is someone who will buy you a chair, but IO psychologist is someone who will make that chair comfortable for you. So this is the basic difference between the HR and the IO psychologist. So as you can see in the interview process, the aim of that interview was not to ask too many questions, but to ask the right questions so that we know whether this person is good for the job or not. So इसको ना हम BEI, behavioral event interviews कहते हैं, where these interviews are framed by IO psychologists, where they ask such questions that will fit the role. Now इसके लिए ना IO psychologist को भी पढ़ना पड़ता है, okay? If I am someone who is going to recruit in IT, I need to know the basic terms of IT, so that वो skill set भी होना बहुत जरूरी होता है. And that's why it's a continuous learning process for IO psychologists as well. Now coming to, as I was saying, that HR और IO में क्या difference है? So HR also works in recruitment, there is a difference between recruitment, talent acquisition. There are n number of terms nowadays. So HR is someone who will hire for the position. IO psychologist is someone who will hire the right person for the position. They will use assessments for the whole hiring process. तो उसमें प्री हायरिंग आता है, पोस्ट हायरिंग असेसमेंट्स आते हैं. So in pre hiring there are different assessments like DISC, personality, then also leadership, which can be used. These assessments will help them to understand ki are we working in the right directions. HR is someone who is going to handle the legal issues. तो वो जो HDFC का issue हुआ था, this is something that the HR will come in the picture. These are the people who know the ethics of the organizations, the legalities, the lawyer contacts, all these things will be done by HR. बट ऐसा ना हो आगे से, और ऐसा क्यों हुआ, इसके बारे में काम करना इंडस्ट्रियल साइकोलॉजिस्ट का काम होता है. The next one is HR is someone who will give you your salaries, make sure that they understand whether you're attending the work and everything. But industrial psychologist will make sure that you are motivated, and they will give you the purpose to stay motivated. Purpose as in life meaning, Carl Jung नहीं ला रहे हम यहाँ पे. This purpose as in the sense that satisfaction मिल रहा है या नहीं मिल रहा है. HR is someone, अच्छा इसका काम अच्छा चल रहा है, इसको बोनस दे देते हैं. Industrial psychologist will create that loyalty here. Even if you're not getting a bonus for 1 year due to something, that employee is retained due to something or the other. I'm not saying that money, salary is not important. It is of course important, but along with it, there is something called as loyalty that is very much important in organizations, and that's the key to retaining the employees also. So ये काम industrial psychologist करते हैं. यहाँ पे HR का काम होता है employees को discipline देना, whereas industrial psychologists are someone who are there so that they can create the change in the organizations. How do we create the change? We create the change in the organizations by developing training programs for the organization. Now these training programs actually, ये organization development OD करके एक subject है in IO, इसका part है where we actually, you have been taught how to conduct team building activities, how to change the culture of the organizations, how to bring in conferences of people from different fields together and conduct the workshops. So all this is something that an IO psychologist has to work towards. So this is the basic, very minimal difference between HR and industrial psychologist. Although there are some work that gets overlapped with IO psychology of HR, but there is something that IO psychologists completely do, is that they focus on the whys of the behaviors, the hows of the behaviors. HR ko nahi. HR is someone who just said, okay, you have done this, this is your result for it. But IO psychologists actually go into the depth and understand it. So this is the basic difference between IO psychology and HR. Yes, now we are done with almost everything. So I'm ready to take up questions if you guys have any. Yes, Arushi, you have something?
Yes, I had something which I had to say about the interview only. One thing which I noticed is like the framing of the questions is also very different. The first interview, the HR one was it had more objective and close-ended questions, whereas the second one had more leading questions, which were related to the answer which the person previously answered, or the answers which the interviewee gave before. So those were connected with each other, not in isolation, and those were something like how the IO psychologist acknowledges the answers and then proceeds with the following question.
And just can you also tell me, how do you think this comes? Like that flow to the conversation comes?
I think when you study psychology, these are some of the like how to ask questions. You do study it in your, even in your counseling paper, you do study this in the undergrad course itself. So I think that this is something which comes intrinsically because you're already taught and conditioned this throughout your undergrad only, and after that you practice in your internships, वगैरह. So I think this is something which you learn gradually.
So this is the basic difference between the HR and the IO, is that these people bring empathy and active listening to the table. And once you can bring that active listening to the table, once you bring that empathy, that conversation will go in the flow. As you said, the questions were connected to the previous answer, and that comes from active listening. So जब हम employee counseling की भी बात करते हैं, there is this important component that we talk about, that is empathy and active listening as well. So that is also something you will learn in a psychology course as well. Yes, Siddharam, you had something to say?
So, like, if I had to sum it up, can we say that the difference is that IO psychology will help you to go to the root and figure out the root problem and work on that grassroots problem so that it does not happen again, and HR will work on the current problem. So जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि मेडिकेशन और थेरेपी का फर्क ये है कि मेडिकेशन सिम्टम अभी का reduce करेगा और थेरेपी ग्रासरूट पे काम करेगा. So something like that, can we say?
Yes, absolutely. It's like, mujhe, I have stomach ache, so I just go to the doctor and the doctor gives me the medicines. So this is something an HR does, like prescribes the medicine. But mujhe stomach ache kyun ho raha hai? What is the reason for that stomach ache? Will I go for another sonography, or usse mujhe kya pata chalega? The data collection part, or us data se main kya assess karti hu? That is something an IO psychologist does. So if there is a problem, so how do you handle it and why that has occurred so that it does not occur it again? So that is something the IO psych. Along with this, I also believe that IO psychologists are also responsible to create an environment which thrives the employees as well as organization. So as I said that as an IO psychologist, in reality, when you're working as an IO psychologist, you are actually hired by the company. So you need to also be there for the company side as much as you are there for the employee side. And often it happens that there is this disequilibrium between the both. So how you can maintain that balance is also a skill an IO psychologist needs to pursue.
Okay, I also just want to add in one thing. Sorry, that in the middle of the webinar, you said that you have to create that opportunity, and then there's a lot of scope. And I just want to add in that Pooja did that for herself. I'm just telling this to others that I did not plan on hiring an industrial psychologist, but man, I'm so glad that she came on board, because really what they bring to the table, and if you have the real skill set, if you know what needs to be done, it's really a beautiful experience. I mean, I want to do this course if I had the time, Pooja, definitely.
Thank you so much for such nice and warm welcomes, and you have always appreciated me for that. So thank you. Yes, anyone has any other questions? I have written some companies who are hiring. Guys, you have to keep a lookout on these companies who are hiring. As Nishamani also said, Jombe Metal. Metal is in Bombay. Jombe is in Pune. So these are the companies. There are two more in Bangalore as well. Silver Oak Linings is one of them. So these also hire IO psychologists. There's one more in Delhi. It's called Friends Square. So these are some of the companies. These are just on tip of my tongue that I can say. But if you keep a lookout on this, you'll see a lot of companies are hiring. Though the title of the job might be different, as I said, but you have to still keep on trying. And once you get in, you just get in. Yes. Yes, Neha.
How to make my company hire a psychologist?
Dependent on your sales pitch.
Seriously, we need a lot of being a banker, as you have seen that HDFC ka scene, it was, and a lot of suicides also, bankers are committing a lot of suicide. So I really feel very, frustrated that nothing has been done. So please, if
I
you have some magic wand, just, help me with
set
that.
up a consultation meeting with the leaders at your company, and we'll take it ahead.
Cool. Okay.
So another one more thing, that industrial psychologists who are not in-house, that is the ones who are not working in organizations, These psychologists, we call them as IO consultants. They are outside from the organization, from different organizations, and they work for one organization. तो उनको हम IO consultants बोलते हैं. तो ये जो IO consultants होते हैं, उनका बहुत important काम होता है to get that organization in for IO psychology. So this is also something that requires a lot of skills, lot of patience, lot of banging on different doors, so that you get in at least one door. So this is also some of the skill sets that we teach in our course, how you can approach the HR for IO psychology, IO consult as an IO consultant, and pitch your webinars, pitch your workshops, pitch your training and development programs. So, guys, this is something that we have been planning on to create this course for you who are very much interested in IO psychology. Even if you are from clinical or counseling psychology background, you can still pursue this course. This course is open to people who are willing to learn, and the rest is in your and the facilitator's hand. We actually have one more facilitator with us today who is going to be a part of this course. Nishamani, if you can just say hi and come on camera. Yes, Mrugla, I'll just come to you.
I think Nishamani by mistake left.
She left. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could have got to meet two teachers. Yes, Rugank.
Yeah.
I'm saying your name right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
what I wanted to know is how much this course focus on the organizational development module from the training, learning and development and training perspective.
Okay.
And I'm coming from a different background. I'm coming from a business background. I actually work for a company where we design these kind of learning modules for the corporate. And right now in my organization, there is no one that is working full time on this. So I want to learn and help my team to design better learning and development programs.
Okay.
So how much it will help me?
So I think I should have shared the syllabus, but I'll just explain you. In our this course, we have one entire subject that is dedicated to organizational development, where different training programs कैसे लेते हैं, कब लेते हैं, like the need, where does the need arise for it, and how do you go ahead with it. ये सब सिखाया जाता है in organizational development. In that subject, we teach you how to create team building activities, how to create leadership training programs, how to create cultural analysis, and also how to create the programs for cultural shift, for cultural trainings also. Now you must be in business. You see there are a lot of startups that are coming up, and these startups they just bank on their ideas and they go ahead. But as they go ahead, they understand that what we want and what our employees are expecting is not in alignment. तो ये कब होता है, जब कल्चर नहीं आता है फ्रेम में, when employees are not aware कि what your organization stands for. So as an OD consultant, you have to create those programs also in your organizations where your employees are aware of that culture. So ये सब training we provide you, we teach you with this training in a very application based manner. Application based manner मतलब we give you with examples, we take assessments from you, and we check your assessment training programs that you have created, and that's how you learn from it. So this is how you learn actually to create training programs.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Arushi.
I have a few questions regarding the course. Should I ask here itself, or should I fill the query?
Sure, you can ask.
Okay, so I have a question regarding the time commitment. Since this is going to be a remote, this would be in a remote mode. So what is the time commitment which should be required? Because a lot of us might be working, or some of us are even pursuing their masters right now. So could you please tell us about that?
So see, as I told you, we all are psychologists, and जब भी हम कोई program design करते हैं, webinar design करते हैं, हम we consider our audience first and we design accordingly and we accommodate that. And considering that we have the timings of this course is twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, 7 to 8:30. So 1.5 hours, that is like 3 hours of lectures in week. And this course is going to the duration of the course is 9 to 10 months.
And the certification process, who will, like, what would be the affiliation, like whom it will be affiliated to? Like,
Yeah. So we are recognized by International Association
okay, okay. So the,
as a training provider. Along
mm,
with it, there's this Indian institute called as Educational Board of Vocational Training, EBVTR. This institute recognizes vocational courses, and we are recognized by this institute as well. So on our certificate, this certificate is going to be accredited by these two institutes.
all right, thank you.
And
Thank you.
also the training providers, that is, as I said, I and Nishamani, we both are the members of AP as well.
Yeah, I think Nishaman is also here.
Okay. Hi, Nishamani. I was just telling them that we have a co-facilitator of this course today with us.
Hello everyone.
So I and Nishamani together are going to take this course, and Nishamani is going to teach organizational development and HRM, that is human resource management. She has done her MBA in HR, and she comes with quite a few experience of HR as well. And believe me that she's going to bring a lot to the table with the anecdotes and different case studies regarding HR and OD.
Thank you Pooja for such a wonderful introduction.
Yes. Okay, anyone has any other question?
I just want to add in something. The certificate that we give is going to be internationally accredited. It is going to have the logos and credentials of these organizations, and 100% it is going to make your resume heavier. So wherever you apply, it is going to open more doors for you. We will make sure of that. And we have always believed that it's not just about the certificate, it's also about the actual learning of it in an application-based manner. And if you have noticed, our faculty is really passionate about that, making sure that that happens.
Yes. Okay, anyone has any other question?
So when is this course starting?
It's starting from the month of July.
So I've put up the inquiry form as well for anyone who wants to get in touch with more updates or anything regarding this case. You can just fill it up, and we will get back to you.
The
And
most important thing, what is the cost of this certification?
I'll take that up, Pooja. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's a 9 to 10 months course, as we said, because we want to make sure that all the content is up to the mark and covered well, and you are also satisfied. The total cost of the course is 25,000 rupees, which includes the learning of all the 4 subjects, the worksheets, the application-based training programs, assessments, such webinars which will come up again and again, network building, academic counseling, to make sure that you actually also learn how to apply, and it also helps in your career. And yes, you will get all the recorded videos as well, so you can go through them. We also understand that it's an investment, and that is why we also give you the option of installments. So as Aishwarya said, just fill in that inquiry form and we will get back to you. We have very limited seats because we want to make sure that we give our best to each and every student. So book your seat soon. It's very easy to book. One installment and your seat is going to be booked. And obviously, we also offer group discounts. So I hope that covers it up, Mrugang.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And we are also going to have another webinar by Nishamani, right? Because we want to make sure that if you are making an investment, you are really clear about it and you know the teacher's teaching, right? So Nishamani will also be taking up a webinar. You can also attend that, and you can learn more, which will be again there for all.
So that webinar is around after post 20th June, if I'm not wrong. So make sure you block your calendars for that as well. Yes. Okay. So if anyone has any queries, you can mail it to me. This is my email ID. Okay, I'm happy to solve any queries you have regarding anything related to IO psychology. Now that we have come to such a beautiful session and I loved all your questions, can I have some cameras on so that we can click a really good picture?
Yes, please. Photo time.
Okay, Mrugank.
यार तुम्हारे लेक्चर के बहाने मुझे बहुत सारे लोग देखने को मिल गए, DIPS वाले भी. Yes. Who is clicking it?
I think
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya should have told her.
Okay, I'm clicking it through my phone because I don't trust my laptop. No one else also does not. No one else trusts my laptop. So please, Pooja, you also. take it
Pooja,
like
you
that.
click Babas. Screenshot घे.
स्क्रीनशॉट
Say
नहीं आएगा,
cheese.
मैं मोबाइल में लेती हूँ. ऐश्वर्या रुक जा, मैं एक लेती हूँ फिर तू ले ले. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. I hope it's done good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. We are going to send you the recording of this webinar as well as inquiry form via email. Just go through it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Okay. It was great having you all. Yes. You're welcome.
So the meeting is on. If anyone just wants to click on the links and get the data, that's also okay. We have also shared Insta IDs so that we can be in touch.
Hopefully I'm going to see you all in my lectures.
I am definitely attending as many as I can. They overlap with psychotherapies, but I'm going to attend as many as I can.
Sure. I'd love to have you there.
A recording, Aishwarya.